Let me take this opportunity to invite the board chairman of GRMI, Mr. Subodh Bhargava. Some of you know him as also the former president of CII. He's been the chairman at Tata Communications, GSK. He's also been the group chairman at the Eicher group. But most importantly, I guess, has been a big mentor for me personally and for the institute. Welcome, Mr. Bhargava.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a privilege to welcome each one of you to this code launch event. A very special welcome to Mr. Damodaran, Mr. Birla, members of the task force and panelists today. I've been associated with Global Risk Management Institute for a few years now. And during this period, I have often wondered, why has Subhashish taken this initiative? What value will he deliver to corporate India? And why the need for risk? I belong to the era of supply-side economy, where the only risk was not knowing the right person at the Udyog Bhavan. And perhaps the second real risk was breakdown in your supply chain. Because everything was licensed, you couldn't produce one piece extra. So supply chain did cause some problem, and therefore there was some exposure to risk to us also pre-91. But I think what happened in 91, you all know the story. For the first time, there was the risk vis-a-vis competition. You had to understand competition's strategies. Corporate India, the CEOs, the owners, the professionals, for the first time, started understanding what is a strategy beyond the government of India. The strategy risk was not understood, quite frankly, to my mind in the beginning. I think we were going all over, whether it is acquiring, downsizing, upsizing, taking risks without understanding what are the risk elements which needed to be evaluated with respect to strategy. And what really led was perhaps the corporate India and the managers thought, let me make some rules and regulations and the risks will be eliminated. Now that was all right for internal risk, but when it came to strategic risk, or external risk which was already there, I don't think we were quite conscious and quite aware of. And this is where I think Global Risk Management Institute brings out its relevance at the time and for the content both. The timing was ripe because corporate India has matured over the last since 91 for 2 decades at least. And corporate India was ready to welcome new innovative management practices. Global Risk Management Institute, GRMI's objective is to really make corporate India resilient, agile, future ready for looking at institution, the enterprise, with that perspective. The second thing, of course, which was corollary to that was that who was to manage risk? And that is where I think GRMI has initiated its contribution to the corporate India by having today nearly 200 risk managers trained who are now actually in the field working. And this journey for growing the number of risk professionals who can add value to corporate India is going to continue, hopefully with the support of corporate India. Let me just mention about the code. Why the code if we are training people and they are going into corporate world, I think this code is going to be sort of a toolkit to bring about in the minds of the, or in the system of the corporate boards, senior officials, the risk assessment and risk mitigation processes as a part of their DNA. And I think this is where we are moving ahead, hopefully. The corporate India is looking at this. One small concern, which in fact I shared with Subhashish, how do we bring in this risk concept of managing, identifying, mitigating to other than large enterprises, the MSMEs? I mean, I'm not talking about entire range, but there are a lot of medium-sized companies who are exposed to risk, and they are the backbone of Indian economy. And unless they are also able to mitigate and get focused on risk management, I don't think the large enterprises will succeed in the long run. And this reminds me of early 90s when India looked at learning quality. For the first time, Indian industry talked about quality, whether it was product or services. We learned, the large enterprises learned from all over the world. We brought experts from Japan, US, elsewhere to teach us quality. And then the OEMs, the large enterprises, took the message of quality to their supply chain, the medium and small industry. To my mind, it was one of the finest work done by the large enterprises in their own self-interest, because the amount of outsourcing in most of the industry domains is such that unless the supply chain was equally focused on quality and complying to quality, the end product could not have been. And I think this is the journey which perhaps for the risk management could also be adopted. I would like to conclude by thanking first FICCI for the partnerships they've had with GRMI, and most sincere thanks to Mr. Damodaran and the members of the task force for their tiring work. As Siddharth said, that they had many hours going on to it, and I do hope that this code, as launched now, would be a great asset to corporate India to adopt and implement. Thank you, and once again, welcome.